right, everybody. Welcome to our latest edition of Behind the Lines.
Yeah, I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's morning when we do this, so I have my coffee. Praise God.
That's right. So we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. But boy, I tell you what, we're in February.
Yes.
And it feels like we just sat down to have Thanksgiving.
It does, but just hang on a minute. It feels like spring outside.
It does
65
today.
65 degrees yesterday. Maybe into 20s by the time we get out of this podcast. Who knows? It changes so fast.
And you know what that means? Spring is good chance of severe weather. This is that time of year where we are. I know where we're battling a lot of that. So it's a good time to remind everybody to make sure you update your contact information.
Yes, very important. You want to explain why that's so important?
Yeah, so we are really working hard to be better at our communications. We think we're good, but we can always be better. And we want to make sure that we can communicate to all of our members as quickly as possible. Text messaging seems to be a very, very key ingredient there. A lot of folks like to get texted. It's the fastest way to put out information. Yep. So we would love to have your latest text or your latest cell phone number attached to your account so you can text outages to us.
Yes.
And we can text communications back to you.
You know, in the environment we're in, everything's moving so fast. And let me paint a picture for you, for those of you that may not understand. Fort County's been around for 85, almost 85 years.
Yep.
So in that time frame, we have some membership accounts that are 50 years old that don't have an updated phone number on them. And that's just the way of the world, how we communicate, right? We want to get notices out to you. During storms, when you call in, our computer can recognize the number you're calling from and associate an outage with where you live. That's why it's so critical that we have your phone number. We don't sell it to anybody else. We don't use it for any other thing. This is all to benefit you. So we want to encourage you to give us your most up-to-date cell phone so we can get your records right in our automated system.
That's right. And we can also, so if you don't want to call, you can now text outages in
I like that
to our 800 number, and then we'll actually text you statuses back and tell you when your power's back on. And if your power's still out and we've got your number on file, you can text status to our 800 number, and it will tell you, you're still out or doesn't look like you have a power outage.
Yeah, we're not going to bombard you with text messages. So I'm in a few group text messages where I have to just cut the notifications off because they get. That's not us. And if you want more info, you can actually let us know, and we can sign you up on our software system for alerts, right?
That's right. We can.
High bill alerts, past due alerts. There may be a few others I'm not naming, John.
That's right.
Very informative. We can go a little deeper for those of you that'd like to have a little more information on your bill.
That's right. So give us a call or go online and update your information. As often as you change cell phone numbers, let us know what that is so that we can help you. And we saw in December one of the big reasons why quick communication is so important.
Very much so. Yeah. You want to go ahead and roll into that one?
So I know that most of you were affected in December, right? Christmas Eve and the day before Christmas Eve, we had some rolling blackouts.
Yeah, let's back up just a little bit. John has said, and many of us have said at Fort County, when your lights are out, so are we. So to paint the picture a little bit for those of you, many of you recall, it was Christmas weekend. And here at Fort County, because Christmas Eve and Christmas Day fell on a Saturday and Sunday, we were actually closed Friday and Monday. So this all began that Friday, which was Christmas Eve. Early that morning, we were notified that due to capacity reasons at TVA, we would have to start rolling blackouts, which has never happened in the history of Fort County or TVA. And it basically boils down to capacity issues at the generation level at TVA. And TVA is still investigating some of that, but the short version from what I'm hearing is the drastic change in wind and wind chill affected the plant's ability to stay operational. And they lost some load, and it just impacted the whole system. When that happens, when you lose significant load and the ability to do that, there's a couple of things TVA could do. They could go to the open market and buy power from somebody outside of TVA, and they can try to get the plant up and running, and we can start shedding load, which is what you saw Fort County do. Now, I want to spell it out a little bit. Our contract with TVA, just like the rest of the contracts that LPCs have with TVA, when I say LPCs, that's other distributors, other co-ops, other municipalities in the Tennessee Valley footprint. There are 154 of us. Our agreement says that when this happens, we would roll blackouts. I mean, it's not a suggestion. It's a contractual agreement. And the reason it's there is really to benefit us, as hard as it is to say that. If we had not done rolling blackouts on Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve, the whole system could have crashed and we would have been without power for an extended period of time. So as painful as 30 minutes are in segments, the way we did it is we rolled it out. You'd be without power for 30 minutes and then you wouldn't be, and you know, a few hours later you'd be without power for 30 minutes. If we had not done that, the system would have crashed. TVA is working on mitigating that in the future. My understanding is they came up with 275 mitigation points that they could address in the first couple of weeks. A few more are ongoing. Now, if you're a four-county member and you did not get your power cut out, there's a couple of reasons why, when I say cut out, in the rolling blackout, because we're not going to cut power out in those extreme colds, okay? So I want to put that out there. If you did not have your power go off in the rolling blackouts, the reason would be there are predetermined circuits that serve nursing homes, hospitals, and schools. We did not cut those out, and that's part of our plan. Now, moving forward, our plan is going to be a little more nimble depending on what time of the day it is, whether it's a weekend or not. But this had never happened in the history of TVA or Four County, and you know, I'm biased, but I would say Four County's team, John Turner here, marketing, social media wise, the engineers here at Four County, the linemen, did an excellent job of doing and maintaining something that they had never experienced before. So my hat's off to y'all. And members, I'm sorry if you experienced some difficult times trying to cook for Christmas Eve, but it's something that had to be done at our level. Now, TVA is working on mitigating that at their level.
So, and let's be clear too, this isn't a question of infrastructure. It wasn't failing infrastructure. What we experienced was kind of what we always say, the perfect storm, but those extreme cold temperatures happened real fast. TVA had some problems with some generation that they own. In other words, some of the plants that make electricity weren't doing their job.
Yes.
And we couldn't go out on the open market like we usually do and buy extra power because most of the country was in that same situation.
Correct.
And there was no extra power to buy at that
Correct.
point. And not at the prices that anybody wanted to pay, because then it was going to impact your electric bill.
Yeah, the analogy I'd like to have is if you lean on your neighbor for some sugar, but they need the sugar for their own cake, they kept it, right?
That's right.
So that's the same thing. If TVA was leaning on some of their neighbors for power, well, they were experiencing the same thing TVA was, and they had to hang on to that. So I think TVA is looking at the future. We've given some feedback. We're going to continue to give feedback to TVA and help them mitigate this in the future. So if you have any questions or concerns on that, please reach out to us and let us know.
And I do know that a couple of the major themes of questions that we saw on social media were, why don't you do this at a different time and not inconvenient to us? Well, we don't have a choice, right? That's when the electricity had to be shed.
Well, and I think a good point to bring this up right now, John, is we only had minutes.
That's right.
From the time we were notified to the time we had to start doing it. I mean, minutes. It wasn't like we didn't get a phone call the night before that prepared us for it. And, you know, right or wrong, the weatherman said this was coming 2 weeks in advance, but we did not know that the system was in this kind of shape until minutes before we had to start rolling blackouts. So I want that to be known.
So, and that brings us back to why we need your cell phone information, because the best way for us to be able to communicate to you all in that situation is by text. That's the quickest way to get it out, because when those blackouts start, people start calling the system, and our phone system can only handle so many phone calls at a time. And so again, then that starts clogging up and people get frustrated, understandably so. So, you know, we try to lean on text messaging because that's the fastest way to get it out. And that goes back to the whole point of this, which is make sure we've got your up-to-date information. So in any extraordinary event, we're able to communicate with you quickly.
I would encourage you also, if you don't have social media and Facebook, I was a holdout. I didn't get Facebook for a long time. But if you use it the right way, it's a great tool. That's one way I get a lot of information, because y'all do such a great job, John, of rolling out stuff. I mean, y'all were out making messages on Facebook before TVA was and letting our members know what was going on. So y'all did a great job with that.
Thank you.
So for those of you members who don't have Facebook, it is another way you can get valid information. just be aware. There's a good way and a bad way to use some of that stuff. So if you're reserved on it, I would say try it. We put a lot of information out there through social media, but John's always aware, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, John, but you have to communicate multiple ways to multiple people, because our member owners are a vast array of ages and demographics, and some people hear things different ways. Some people want it through the newsletter, some people want it through text messages, some people through social media. So we try to reach out through all those ways, and y'all do a great job of doing that. But just listen to us. We want to help you, and we would like your up-to-date cell phone number.
All right. Well, switching gears a little bit, we have said goodbye to a very long-tenured and valuable member of our team.
Mr. Kenny Seitz has been a board member at 4 County for, I believe, 33 years. He retired at the end of last year. And Mr. Kenny, thank you for your years of service. You've been through a lot of seasons at 4 County, made some impact at 4 County, and I've seen a lot of growth at 4 County. But I'd also like to take this time to welcome our newest board member, Mr. Russell Dodds, also from Oktibbeha County. For those of you that know Russell Dodds, I think everybody would say he's a good man, and he's going to make a great board member, so welcome aboard.
Yeah, we've worked with Mr. Dodds for quite a while on the foundation board.
Yes.
He was one of our founding foundation board members.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that board's been active for 8 years now.
8 years,
Wow.
yep. And he was as engaged a board member that I've ever seen, and so he should be a very good addition to the 4 County board.
Both good men. Kenny Seitz, Russell Dodds, thank both of you for your service.
Yes, sir. And so for elections for this year, we've got our at-large seat, District 7, and our District 4 seat, Noxubee County, up for candidacy. So we are accepting petitions for nomination at this time between now and March 31st at noon. And if anyone's interested on that process, of course, our information is available on the website.
Everything's on our website. And we have a brand new member portal.
That's right. We have a brand new member portal, which will open up this month.
Yes.
So, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about that next month, but it's going to be a place for folks to go to get information on board minutes and all things member related. So, and you'll use your same login for your payment portal as you will for your member portal. So look for information about that coming up in the next today and in your bills and all kinds of places. So
awesome. Yep.
And then finally, we can't not do one of these without talking about broadband.
All right. So let's, I say this a lot, and I hope the employees feel the same way. All the many things we do here at 4 County have such a positive impact on our communities. I've worked at other places before where maybe you don't feel that way. But it's truthful, right? When you're restoring power to somebody during a storm, if you could be in the field with the guys when we're doing that, it's such a warm feeling to see somebody get lights on who hadn't had lights on due to tree damage and storm damage. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling with the foundation board to give back to entities that are all within our footprint through education, health and human services, and catastrophic intervention. I would challenge all of you, if you start asking questions about the 4 County Foundation, you will know somebody that's been impacted in your community. But what John's talking about on broadband, that's the third leg of our stool. Everybody knows we recently got into broadband 2 years ago, and man, how far we've come in a short amount of time. I mean, 2 years ago we were trying to weigh the decision of whether to get into it or not. 2.5 years ago, we set fiber on our first pole in October of 2020. And here we are 2 years and a handful of months later, and we're at 10,000 customers.
That's right.
Holy cow.
I know. And what's nuts is when we put this thing together and we said, all right, we think we'll be finished with our main construction, just our construction, just putting fiber out, not hooking people up. We thought, okay, well, aggressively, we'd be done by the end of 2024.
Yes.
We are just all over that, aren't we?
Yes, sir. Look, we're big on under-promising and over-delivering. And I think you see we do that in everything we do. Mainline construction should be done summertime.
Yes.
Maybe early summertime. So those of you who don't have it yet, we are coming. I think you've seen activity on mainline fiber. We're having a community kickoff in Una next week.
That's right, Monday night.
We're going there. And shortly after that, we're going to have a kickoff in South Macon,
That's right.
So we're coming. Then after that is Ackerman, Sturgis, then
Ackerman, and then where, and we'll be done. And we anticipate probably being able to, should be installing service to everyone in the service territory by, I would say, mid-fall?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the drops are going to take some time. And remember, be patient with this. If you have underground power, we're going to put it underground and follow the power. Underground takes a little more time. If you have specifications on your property you want us to meet, we need to know that.
Yeah, and let me be clear. When I say that, I don't mean that everyone will be hooked up. What I
Okay.
mean is that every one of our phases now will be open, and we will be doing installations in
Yes.
each one of those. It's still going to be some time before we can catch up. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, the demand is so great
Yes.
that we're doing 700 plus installations a month. That is just
Astounding.
astounding.
Very astounding.
And so there is a limit when we have 2,000-3,000 people in line and
Yes.
throughout that. So, and more coming every day.
And look, I want to say thank you to the people who've been patient, because I know there's been people who've been wanting and needing this for 2 years, ever since we announced we were getting into it. So I think about the people in Ware and Ackerman and Sturgis and South Macon who are on the cusp of receiving this. I want to thank them for their patience. I just got hooked up last month, and I love it. It's a great product. Look, I think everybody that I've ran into could be an advertising agent for Fastnet. I mean, it's just such a good product, and we provide such a good service. I'm glad we can do it.
Case in point, we were at an event last night in Columbus, and I had 2 or 3 people come by and talk about what a difference it's already made to them. So it does feel good. If you're interested and you haven't contacted us yet about broadband, please do go online to www.4cfastnet. That's the number 4 letter C fastnet.com, and go to our check availability page and fill out the information. Let us know, or you can give us a call. But we are coming, and this thing's going to be done sooner than you can think.
And I'd like to ask a question from the audience. We're member owned. Y'all own us. I do feel like if you see the patch on our men's uniforms, we talk about honesty, integrity, and service. I think most people are satisfied with what they receive from us, but I'd love to hear from you. If there's something we can do better, something you think we might need to improve on, please reach out to us, because there's been one perfect person on the face of the earth. It's not us, but I think we do an excellent job at what we do. Let us know if we can do it better.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps things up for February. Appreciate y'all listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, John, and a big thank you to the man behind the camera, the wizard here, David Kilpatrick. Thank you for what you do. God bless, and y'all have a great day.